You ordered your insulation and it came for this R panel roof that you're installing, and oh no, it came square and not beveled cut. What do? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Daniel Lakstins, and you're listening to the Roofing Business Builder podcast. And go ahead and hit subscribe right now and click like and hit the bell so that way you'll be notified when another amazing episode comes out. Because I'm really working at putting another podcast out every week so that way you can benefit and grow your company. Roofing Business Builder is brought to you by the Roofing Business Builder program. Roofing Business Builder is an online 6-week course with calls with me once a week on Wednesdays. And it's a great program because it's really helping roofers just like you that are scaling their business, but they want to cross over into commercial and they realize there's a learning curve. You know, how many mistakes can you make? How many hundreds of thousands of dollars could you lose? Or how can I ever win a bid? It seems like every time a person bids on a roof that's a commercial roof, they don't seem to get the job. So would you like to know all the secrets to the commercial roofing realm? Well, join Roofing Business Builder, and it's a blast. You're going to love it. The information is extraordinary, and the people that are part of the program are, well, making millions. Just check out the website. You can see some of the testimonials. All right, so today we're talking about substitutions. It's interesting because sometimes we can order some product and then next thing you know, we can't get it. Now, the actual segment that I'm going to be sharing with you is from the weekly wins call. And it was a discussion about when we were out of some of the materials during the COVID times. But I thought this would be a great episode to play for you guys because it will still give you great ideas. At the end, I actually talk about how we solved that problem where they actually ordered EPS, but it was square and that they had to cut it. But how did they do that? So we're going to talk about that also in the show. So again, this is just a segment of one of the presentations that I give every week on the weekly wins, but this one happened about a year and a half ago, still during COVID time when supplies were short. So now let's look into this clip of a presentation I gave about a year and a half ago. Let's get into that mindset practice. So this week we're talking about I always find new strategies. I always find new strategies because sometimes when things come up, you get a hiccup, crap happens, then it's disconcerting to us. But if we hold this mindset that, you know what, I always find new strategies. Since I was a kid, right? Since school, since after school, since the jobs that we're at, you'd always find new strategies for something. And now that you're running your own commercial roofing business, you have strategies, and you have the Roofing Business Builder program backing you up, and you have me. So if there's something that comes up, you always will have strategies. And when you hold that mindset, it kind of relieves that pressure that's on you that what if something comes up, you have backing, you have support. And so everything's always going to work out. So remember, I always find new strategies. Now, we're going to talk about technical training. This is pretty good stuff here, guys. Right now, the roofing industry, all the manufacturers, as you know, they're having problems because we thought, well, just because the manufacturers were shut down for 6 months or a year and a half, well, as soon as they got back turned on, then they'd be able to make products for us. But what's happened is not only have we had to wait for that to happen, but the manufacturers buy chemicals and different compounds from other types of manufacturers or processors, and they are way behind. Those people were shut down too. So as you know, we're not going to see a TPO from what the manufacturers are saying until like March of next year. Oh, ISO too. But yeah, even TPO, PVC, those manufacturers, that's what the NRCA was saying in that meeting, that some of these membranes we're not going to see. They're going to try to get them produced, but they're way backed up. But in this case, we're going to talk about, because we can't buy polyiso cyanurate. We can't buy that right now. And that's going to, again, we may not see any ISO until March. And that's what we're hearing. If that's the case, we do know that EPS manufacturers do, because they buy their raw goods from a different place, they do have EPS available. And so we thought we'd talk a little bit about that EPS. Now, remember, polyiso is the yellow board, whereas EPS stands for expanded polystyrene, which looks like your styrofoam cups, coffee cups, and things like that. So what are some concerns or things we need to think about when it comes to using or switching out? Say if you already have a contract with someone and you're going to be using polyiso, now you may have to use EPS. So what are some things to think about? Well, the first one is that even the fire rating is different. But if you're wanting to do a Class A fire rated system, say if you're doing an FM, a factory mutual job, you have to have a barrier that's fire resistant that fits in the specification. So you might want to look at using a gyp board, or you might even be able to use FR10. FR10 is like a felt type looking material that has a Class A fire rating. As a separator, then you can actually meet whatever specification. So again, if you're dealing with specifiers, then you'll have to explain that. They probably already know, but you'll have some choices for them to make. Also, some manufacturers and FM themselves will require that you have a 1.5 pound density. So that's, a lot of times that's required. So when you're looking at EPS doesn't necessarily, no, you'd have to tell them sometimes EPS will come in just a 1 pound density or maybe 1.25. But if you're doing a specific job that's requiring that in the spec that you're reading, it's a 1.5 density, then you have to request for that. Now it's cheaper to buy the 1 pound, right? Because it's not as dense of material. So that's something to consider too. Here's the biggest thing that you have to be concerned. If we're switching out polyiso for EPS, then you need several more inches of the EPS to match the same R value as a polyiso. So again, we do know what there's calculations, but go to a calculator, because the ISO companies switched that up about 4 years ago, where it's like it used to be real simple calculation. But again, you might, if you're required to use 5 inches of polyiso, you may have to go up to 12 inches of EPS. So why would we be concerned about that? Because you may have to raise all the units. So you have your curbs that are on the roof. You'll have to raise those curbs. All your pipes that are on the roof, well, if you got 10 inches, you may even be covering up that pipe. So then you're going to have to raise those pipes. So if you have 4-inch pipes, you're going to have to go and get an adapter. And there is a company that sells those. What are they called? Tubos. And we're really good friends with Kevin. Yeah, his name's Kevin Morris. We're really good friends. He's a really good guy. Yeah, you'll see him on Instagram and Facebook. He's always on a boat fishing, but he invented tubos. And tubos is where you can actually have a pipe extended. It makes it really easy to extend the pipe. So these are some things that we really need to think about, considering that we may have to switch out a polyiso job for EPS. Then also, if you're using polyiso, sometimes we may be using this on a tapered system. And if you're using this on a tapered system, we have to, of course, measure the bottom to the top. But what about beveled, so if it has like a triangle, so then you're going to measure the top of that across, and then also the bottom, and what the distance is this way. So you're going to want to give that to the manufacturer, so when they give you a quote. And remember also, only use your zip code of the job when you're given that information. If they say, well, what's the address? You know what? I don't have the address, but here, it's in the zip code. And that's all they need for shipping costs. So if you're using a straight cut, well, here we are. So we want to use a straight cut with thicker insulation. We want to stick it in place with low rise adhesive. So if the wind's blowing, you may have to put some low rise adhesive. So this is an example here. I've been on many roofs where it was a windy day, and we laid all these out, and all of a sudden the wind blew them off. So that's kind of crazy. So you can use a low rise adhesive, even if you have just the stuff that you get from Home Depot or Lowe's. You can squirt it down. Now what happens if that bevel, your salesman orders the job and he ordered straight cut, maybe he didn't double check the measurements properly. Now this is a heat cutter, and this is what we ran into on one project where it was a beveled R panel, but the EPS came, square. So this is a solution that worked for this company. And so there will be solutions if you run into situations where you made a mistake or one of your employees made a mistake. Be sure to get in touch with us, because we do have ideas, and we usually come up with some solutions that will help you.
And now it's time for Did You Know?
Did you know that although insulation is very important, especially the R value, which means resistance, R value is very important, and we have to follow building code. But what's a little bit sometimes more important if you want to save energy is that reflectivity. It was years ago that the school systems started painting the top of buses white, and that white reflecting coating can really, save a lot of energy. It actually helps the insulation to keep the building cooler. So a lot of times if you're using a dark roof, you would have to use a lot more insulation to have the financial benefits of using a coating. So now we can always suggest white if we're in hot regions. Of course, there are some arguments to maintaining a darker roof if we're way up north in colder climates. But it is interesting. Reflectivity. It's awesome. So that's pretty much it for the show. I do appreciate you guys listening. Again, I'm going to continue to work at putting out one of these every week. Drop them on Monday, but we'll see what happens. And, let me know if you want to shoot me an email to support@Roofing Business Builder, and just let me know how things are going, if I'm helping to benefit you and your company. Or feel free to go to the website and hit me up on my Calendly link, and let's do a Zoom call and see if Roofing Business Builder might be just right for you. So until next time, I don't always consult on commercial roofing, but when I do, I make millionaires. Stay wealthy, my friends.